Workers join a union for good wages and benefits, security, and respect in the workplace. Strength in numbers and solidarity are the foundation on which these collective rights are built. In 1992, the idea that bigger numbers equals more strength motivated 3 medium-sized unions to pool their resources in a single organization, the Communications, Energy, and Paper Workers Union. Delegates to CEP's founding convention took a big step in the evolution of Canada's trade union movement while advancing their own interests. Each of these unions had earlier broken away from their parent American-based international unions.
Together we would have more strength in the sense that if one group was on strike, there would be 2 other groups working to provide income and so on.
We had a mandate from our conventions and our executive to seek out mergers because we were just too small.
On avait aussi à se donner une force politique. Les batailles politiques avec les gouvernements provincial et fédéral étaient encore devenaient de plus en plus difficiles. Alors on avait besoin d'un poids supplémentaire pour obtenir ce qu'on voulait obtenir.
CEP quickly built a reputation as an activist union that was not afraid to confront employers or governments. This attracted a number of mid-sized unions that merged with CEP over the next 15 years, bringing in tens of thousands of new members. They included workers in broadcasting and film production, journalists, printers, and others at newspapers and print shops, telephone workers at Bell Atlantic, and administrative employees of Bell in Ontario and Quebec. At its peak, CEP membership stood at more than 150,000.
CEP has come to the bargaining table with the determination to accomplish a fair collective agreement.
From the beginning, the emphasis was on collective bargaining and servicing, from the smallest local to bargaining on a national scale. And when employers balked at reasonable settlements, CEP proved it was willing to take on tough fights.
On a eu nos grandes luttes et on a eu à affronter des entreprises qui voulaient pas qu'on soit capable de se mettre ensemble puis d'essayer de défendre nos droits. La première, Abitibi-Consol. L'objectif d'Abitibi-Consol, c'était de mettre fin aux négociations par règlement modèle aux grandes tables centrales. On leur a dit non.
As far as being a union, it was a true definition of what a union should be, the way we looked after each other.
So I'm out here for change. I think if you want change, you can't talk about it. You have to get off your ass and do something about it.
Equity among workers and all Canadians has long been a fundamental concern, and we encourage tolerance in the union, workplace, and in society. National and regional committees work to promote resolution of issues affecting women, racialized workers, and other equity-seeking groups.
What do we want? When do we want it?
The longest and perhaps toughest struggle concerned a pay equity claim by 5,000 telephone operators at Bell Canada in Quebec and Ontario. It was a nightmare of litigation and frustration for the operators. But after 14 years of resistance, Bell agreed to a $104 million settlement that finally legitimized the pay equity claims.
Mais il ne faut pas lâcher, il ne faut pas baisser les bras, il faut se battre, on est sûr de nos choses. Quand on est sûr de nos droits, il faut se battre jusqu'au bout. Moi, je pense que c'est très important de ne jamais lâcher.
A better and brighter Ontario is waiting on the horizon. Let's go there together.
In 2001, the right-wing Harris government decided to sell off publicly owned Hydro One. That's when CEP joined forces with the Canadian Union of Public Employees in a court battle that stopped the deal in its tracks.
We've managed to stop a government that worships at the altar of privatization. We managed to stop them from selling the crown jewel of this province for costume jewelry prices.
In 1995, there was concern that Medicare was being eroded by attacks from the right wing. CEP brought attention to this issue with its Cross Canada Save Medicare campaign.
Says the death of Medicare. Shame! 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 Shame!
As tougher environmental restrictions are imposed on industry, working people can be the first to pay the price when jobs are lost. In 2002, CEP initiated its Just Transition campaign, advocating sustainable employment alongside sustainable development. CEP's second decade saw the alarming decline in the forest industry, along with the loss of tens of thousands of union jobs. Governments were slow or unwilling to step in, leaving it to the free market to sort it out. Across the country, CEP members took action.
Protéger nos emplois, c'est une question de droit.
Protéger nos emplois, c'est une question de droit.
Les travailleurs de la forêt te disent non, Charest.
Il y a moyen de faire à cette industrie-là un virage important pour s'assurer que les communautés qui ont vécu au cours des 100 dernières années de l'industrie forestière puissent continuer à vivre et n'aient pas à déménager à Fort McMurray.
In 2010, CEP joined with other unions in a campaign to dramatically improve the Canada Pension Plan. We also pressed for legislation to safeguard pension benefits when a company goes bankrupt, as in the case of Fraser Papers in Thurso, Quebec and Edmundston, New Brunswick.
C'est pas ça le problème, c'est que nous autres, on a travaillé presque toute notre vie là-dessus. On a contribué toute notre vie. Puis tout d'un coup, ils disent qu'en déclarant banqueroute, ils ne doivent plus rien.
A happy ending for miners in Saskatchewan as rescue workers free them after 24 hours underground.
All 72 of our miners are now safely on surface and are completely healthy.
Early in the morning of January 29, 2006, fire broke out almost a kilometer underground at the Mosaic Potash Mine. 72 members of CEP Locals 890 and 892 were trapped.
I didn't think I was going to make it out of there. What I was thinking about is the wife, the kids and stuff, and all my golfing, my friends and all that, you know. It was very, very scary.
The miners were able to survive until their rescue because of refuge stations, a safety feature installed following pressure from the union.
Je trouve qu'il y a beaucoup de monde qui n'apprécie pas un bon programme de safety, mais après le feu, moi, personnellement, j'ai trouvé que le programme a bien fonctionné puis que ça vaut la peine de les avoir.
Over the years, our members have suffered more than their share of job losses when businesses shut down. Although we didn't always succeed, CEP became known as the union that didn't back down.
We basically went in and everybody had bags with the chains and locks in it, and they took off and they started batten down the hatches. There was a lot of support. A lot of members stayed outside the plant gates, got barrels, almost like there was a strike there. It was tough. Spent 26 days away from my family, and when we came out of the plant, it was very overwhelming to see the approximately 1,000 people standing outside the plant cheering us on.
The Western Pulp Limited Mill in Port Ellis shut down in 2003. But members of CEP Local 514 blocked access to the plant to keep it from being torn down.
We proclaim this mill closed.
Lock number 1.
Yep.
The gate's closed, the lock's on. That's it. We're on our way, boys.
The blockade remained until the owners agreed to restart, but it was short-lived. By early 2004, a bankrupt employer said they were closed for good. CEP lobbied governments and the industry until a new owner bought the assets and reopened the mill. But the roller coaster ride continued as investors took the money and left town with only 2 hours' notice to the dismayed workers. Finally, in 2005, legitimate investors stepped forward, put some real money into upgrades, and operations resumed for good.
And they managed to retain dignity. They managed to retain issues that, as trade unionists, seniority is absolutely imperative.
Today, 345 CEP members are on the job, and the mill is in full production. In 1995, the Ontario government had a plan to sell off the publicly owned TV Ontario. Members of CEP Local 72M launched a campaign that would stop them cold.
So the first thing we did was appeal to help from our national union. We identified friends of TV Ontario, the public, teachers, members of TV Ontario that contribute dollars to the organization. We fought the government and we won.
This is a BC News and Weather Update. Here's Tess Van Stratton.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. Here's a look at
In the private broadcast sector, Can West Global decided to shut down Czech TV in Victoria, declaring it unprofitable. Union members, other CEP locals, local management, and a group of Vancouver Island investors came up with the money to buy the station.
This station now has a direct union investment of over $175,000 in it, which is pretty significant, and it certainly was a key component in saving everyone's job here and starting something that is unique and pretty amazing.
Hi, I'm Ed Bain, weather guy and co-owner of Czech News. Thanks to all of you for your support to help us save Czech News. We're all very excited, very broke.
The CEP Humanity Fund is a charity that helps people in Canada and around the world who suffer from poverty or disasters. It also promotes decent working standards and equitable development.
The very small part that we're able to play through the Humanity Fund in assisting people assist themselves is enormous.
15% of fund income is set aside each year for Canadian assistance, most recently for disaster relief following the Lac Megantic explosion. Organizing is the lifeblood of trade unions, and CEP has made significant gains over the years. The fight by workers at a chocolate factory in Vancouver is one of the most memorable. It started in 1997, when a group of women, the majority of them immigrants, were fed up with low wages and intolerable working conditions.
People side by side with us working there, they got dental, medical, pension, they got sick leave, they got profit sharing also, they got an annual holiday, but we totally got nothing.
It would take a strike to obtain a first contract. Even after a settlement, the company attempted decertification. After years of struggle, the women of Purdy's finally had a collective agreement and decent working conditions. Our union made history in 2001, certifying workers on the Hibernia oil platform off Newfoundland, the first in North America. The organizing drive and subsequent legal disputes took 5 long years. Since then, workers at the Terra Nova offshore drilling vessel have joined CEP and successfully bargained a collective agreement. In recent years, the union has moved further into non-traditional territory, organizing construction workers in BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. At any given time, up to 1,000 CEP members are at work on construction or maintenance jobs, many of them in the oil sands near Fort McMurray. The Summit of the Americas, a meeting of politicians to discuss issues around globalization. CEP members were there to protest an agenda of corporate rights at the expense of citizens' rights.
Revolution! Revolution!
No! Put the rock down, man! Put the rock down!
Hey!
Put that milk down! These 3 guys are cops, everybody!
Those police that were undercover committed criminal acts. And I think that's an absolute affront against democracy.
This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what fact this is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like!
Je trouve que c'est totalement démesuré, donc je leur dirais dépensez donc ces budgets-là pour aider les travailleurs qui ont perdu leur emploi suite à la crise économique ou pour d'autres raisons. Je pense que l'argent serait beaucoup mieux placé à cet endroit-là que dans une clôture, puis dans des nouveaux basics pour des polices, puis des choses comme ça.
21 years of struggle, heartbreaking losses, exhilarating victories, and historic accomplishments. But now it's time to turn the page to a new chapter in Canadian labor history.
Is that our new direction policy is our answer to the corporate agenda.
Even as we evolve yet again, we remember those who came before, their enormous contributions and groundbreaking achievements.
We will rise to the challenge, I have no doubt, because we will stand together in solidarity for a better world.